Today we're going to take a look at sigma notation and what that means. So if you open this up, the first thing we're going to do is write the sum with sigma notation and evaluate it. So you'll notice here, this is our sigma, and we have a rule right after it. So this part right here is our rule. And then we have underneath k equals 1 and k equals 3. So the first thing we're going to do is start with this bottom one, k equals 1. So we're going to enter 1 for k plus 1 divided by 1 for k again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to enter all the numbers from this lower bound, which right here is underneath k, underneath the sigma, all the way to our upper bound. So the next number we're going to enter is 2. So the next term would be 2 plus 1 divided by 2 plus, and then we've reached the top one, so we have 3 plus 1 divided by 3. So there's the sum without sigma notation, and now we just have to evaluate it. So this is 2 divided by 1 plus 3 divided by 2 plus 4/3. And let's see, so we need a common denominator, so that would be 6. And I guess you could use your calculator too. So we'd have, let's see, this would be 6/3 plus times 3, 9/6 plus 8/6. Whoops, so this first one should be 12/6, my bad. So we have 12, 21, 29/6. So the next one here, similar. Write the sum without sigma notation and evaluate it. So we have -1, our first k is to the first, times 1 minus 5 squared plus -1 squared times 2 minus 5 squared plus -1 cubed times 3 minus 5 squared. So if you evaluate this, let's see, that's -4 squared. So that's 16 times -1. So we have -16 plus, well, that's +1. -3 squared is 9. Plus this would be -1 times -2 squared. So 4 minus 1 times -1. So that would be -4. So if we add these together, -16 plus 9, -7, minus 4, we have a sum of -11. So these next ones here, we're going to review some stuff with some trig here. So let's see, entering 1 through 4. So we have 2 the cosine of pi over 1 plus 2 the cosine of pi over 2 plus 2 the cosine of pi over 3 plus 2 the cosine of pi over 4. So 2 cosine of pi, let's see, pi is right here, so -1, 0, so our x-coordinate is -1, plus 2 times pi over 2, and cosine is our x, so that would be times 0, so we have plus 0. Pi over 3, so that's 60. Opposite 60, we're at 3 over 2, 1/2, so cosine is 1/2, so 2 times 1/2, so plus 1. Plus pi over 4, well, that's 45. So we have a couple of root 2 over 2's. So let's see, this simplifies -1, +1, the 2's, so this is just equal to root 2. And one more trig one. So let's see, 3 to the first times the cosine of 1 pi. Plus 3 squared times the cosine of 2 pi, plus 3 cubed times the cosine of 3 pi. So let's see, we got pi, so -1, 0, and 2 pi. So this would be 3 times our cosine again is our x values. So we'd have -1 plus 9 times at 2 pi it's +1 plus 27 at 3 pi it's -1. So you have -3 plus 9 minus 27. So you have -21. So the next thing we're going to do is try and go the other direction. So write the sum in sigma notation. So we have to come up with our rule first. Well, I notice this is times -3. So our geometric rule, our first term times our ratio to the n minus 1. So 1 times -3 to the n minus 1. Well, to give us our 1, the first term here, that would have to be to the power of 0. So this has to be n equals 1. And we could count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next one, well, let's see. This looks like it's times 1 times 5. So our ratio is 1/5 here. So n equals 1. So we have 1/5 times 1/5 to the n minus 1. So 1 all the way up to 4. And so it's pretty easy when we can see all those terms. So we're going to take a look at one more here. So this last one, if we said write in sigma notation, and we have 3 plus 7 plus 11, oops, I added a comma there, plus all the way up to 219. Well, I can see that this is arithmetic. So our arithmetic, our first term, our difference of 4 times n minus 1. So our first one would be n equals 1, but we have to figure out what gives us 219, what term number. So 219 equals 3 plus 4 times n minus 1. So 3 plus 4n minus 4, -1 plus 4n. Let's see, plus 1, plus 1. So you have 220 equals 4n divided by 4. So 220 divided by 4, we end up with 55. So it would be 1 all the way up to 55.